Hey, welcome investors to the 40 Finance channel. Last week at this time, I talked about some big events that would really shape the market. And obviously earnings season is one of them. And I led off by saying, the Netflix earnings call was going to be big because it's such an indicator of consumer sentiment and spending. And sure enough, Netflix earnings shaped the trajectory of the market. I'm still very surprised at how far down that particular stock went, particularly since they hit their revenue and their EPS, but obviously the subscriber growth was concerning. But it just goes to show you how some of these top dog stocks can really shift the entire mindset of the market. And I'd love to tell you you have time to catch your breath, but this week, the week of January 24th, 2022, is going to be even bigger in setting that baseline for what we can expect going forward, at least through the next couple of months of the stock market. All right, we're going to skip right ahead to Tuesday because Tuesday is a monster. Microsoft will report January 25th post-market, so after hours. Microsoft coming in, this definitely has the ability to set the trajectory of the market. And you see here on SeekingAlpha, last report, they did 271 in EPS gap actual. They're actually projected to come down. Perhaps this quarter for Microsoft isn't a big one in their normal sales cycle, but I was surprised to see that. However, the revenue, $45 billion reported last time, looking at $50 billion this time. And the thing to keep in mind about Microsoft, if we look back at the Netflix reaction, it's all about the future. Okay, so it has very, very little to do with the current quarter. We're kicking off a new year, and everybody wants to know what the CEOs are thinking for 2022. And Microsoft will be riding a little bit of a line because they just absolutely crushed earnings expectations all throughout the pandemic time. They just crushed it. And right now, if we look at the revisions over the past 90 days, you got 19 up and 3 down. So a lot of positive expectations for Microsoft. So suffice to say, if they come in any way and offer a guidance that is less than what analysts expect, we have the potential to see a big market downturn heading into Wednesday morning. Let's take a look how these expectations stack up for the next few quarters. Here's what I mean about Microsoft handily beating their last several earnings expectations. So in Microsoft's fiscal year, they're going to be reporting fiscal quarter 2. Consensus is 232. Last time that they reported a quarter 2 earnings, they hit $2.03. So they need to add 30 cents to reach the consensus estimate. The bigger number, though, as we just mentioned, is hitting these comps for the full year. So plus 12% looking ahead into quarter 3, plus 10% looking ahead into quarter 4. And we've got that tallied up down here. For June 2022 is when their fiscal year ends. The estimate right now is 925. Forward PE of 3261. We've talked a little bit about this in the past. Microsoft is running hotter than it has done historically, and most of that is because they have outperformed significantly. So the danger here is if this outperformance slows, and it's a very unfortunate position for Microsoft because it's almost like hitting the goal may not be enough considering where their PE is landing right now compared to where it's been in the past. All right, another key one to look for on Tuesday is going to be Verizon, in my opinion. This one actually comes out pre-market. And the reason Verizon is important is because it's another indicator of consumer activity. And what we'll get a report on is basically how holiday shopping went at Verizon stores. That, of course, includes the iPhones, right? Which will bleed into probably Apple's earnings at a small level. So Verizon is important. They've got some momentum. They've got 12 revisions up over the last 90 days, but it's really going to be, again, the outlook for the rest of 2022, right? How is the consumer cycle looking for phone upgrades? And while that news will affect Verizon directly, most people are going to be listening to it to try to get an understanding of maybe where Apple will land. And speaking of Apple, Apple comes out with their earnings on Thursday. So you might get lucky and get some insight on where Apple might land listening to Verizon. You know, obviously Apple can survive without Verizon, but Verizon is a very big player in the United States phone market. And with Apple, of course, the expectations are going to be high. This is the Christmas quarter, right? This is holiday shopping, everything I just said with Verizon. And any sort of weakness in Apple can absolutely change which way the stock market trends, at least for the few days after their earnings. And you've got EPS revisions, 16 up, 6 down over the last 90 days. And if we look at what these expectations are, last year they hit $1.68. This year's expectation goes up to $1.88. And that's really important for where Apple is because similar to Microsoft, their P/E ratio is hotter than it has been, certainly pre-COVID, right? And with good reason, they've outperformed. But when you look at these bar graphs, and you can see the last quarter, they were just barely in line with the expectations. Can they meet or exceed the expectations this time on an EPS level? And that becomes important because it affects where the PE lands, right? But even beyond this quarter, of course, talking about 2022, Apple's plans, where they see things landing, how is the consumer upgrade pattern going? This is a really big one for Apple, and the market will be very, very sensitive to it. All right, the last big one I'm going to throw in here for next week on Thursday is Mastercard. And this one actually is slated to report in the morning. And the setup here for Mastercard is very interesting, and it will parlay right down into Visa and PayPal, which are two stocks that I own. And with Mastercard, similar to Apple, you're getting that holiday shopping season. How are transaction volumes going? How did we end up on that cross-border transaction? We know that COVID limited international travel quite a bit coming out of the Christmas break. We also had lots of travel cancellations. Those are typically bearish signs for Mastercard and Visa of late, so that's going to be important. And just like everybody else, that 2022 guidance is going to be important because right now the trailing PEs for Mastercard, Visa, PayPal are a little bit higher than we've seen in the past, but the forward PEs are coming much more back in line. So it's really up to Mastercard at this point, and Visa and PayPal, to set the bar for where 2022 is going to land, and it will be interesting if they have a guidance that comes short of consensus, of wherever the consensus is. What are the expectations that analysts have when these guys step up to the plate and say, you know, here's where we see it. If it comes in short, just like, you know, Netflix, we saw that one yesterday. If it comes in short, then we could definitely have some disruption. And in Mastercard's case, there will be some sort of tie-in, I think, to Apple, because again, you're having transaction volume, you're having holidays. If Mastercard didn't have a good holiday, then I'm assuming that that will be concerning for Apple as well. On the positive side, things go very well, then we can look at maybe digging ourselves out of this stock market hole that we've been in this week. All right, and then the other big event, which is not an earnings call, but might as well be in terms of its impact on the market, we have the Fed meeting coming up January 25th and 26th, so that is Tuesday and Wednesday. And really all you need to know is the 26th. And usually the 26th, about 2:30 or so in the afternoon, Jerome Powell comes out and answers questions and kind of gives his statement about the meeting. And at least of late, you get a very, very shaky morning while everybody's waiting to hear from Powell. And then afterwards, depending on what he says, you definitely will get some sort of market action up or down. To be honest, I think it's a coin flip at this point for as much volatility as we've seen. You know, there's some people that would say, well, if he were to come out and announce the first rate hike and put a date on it, that would actually drag the market down. But I've heard a counter argument to that makes a lot of sense too, which says getting out of the uncertainty and locking in on a date and not wondering, you know, what he's going to say every time he steps up to the plate, I could see that being a positive for the market. All right, investors, we've got a huge week ahead. And even if you're not in some of the stocks that I mentioned here today, they will likely impact what happens with your stocks, with your ETFs. I would definitely say if you're in the buying mood, then you're going to want to have your news tickers handy, whether it's on your phone or your computer or whatever. Tuesday after close, right? Microsoft. Wednesday afternoon for the Fed. Thursday morning, Mastercard. Thursday after close, Apple. And that's not even all the earnings. I mean, there's hundreds of others. Those are just the big ones that I picked off that I think can actually move the market depending on their results. All right, let me know which stock earnings you're looking forward to next week. Where do you think the market will trend? Leave a comment down below. And as always, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, all the things. We will see you on the next one.